Hey everyone, what's up? And this continuation of the previous episode where I started showing you how the Melee editor works. This will probably be a three-parter, depending on how much I do right now. But I wanted to take you through the process of making Buck's melee attacks and ranged attacks from scratch, and maybe even do new combos for some of you who played the early access or the free demo. You'll be able to see exactly how I make it, so hopefully this will be interesting and you'll be able to learn a thing or two. So again, quick overview of the workflow. I'm just using Spriter as a point of reference for where each animation needs to connect, and when it's supposed to stop connecting, and of course when is the window of opportunity for the next attack. The timing is a bit different, so I can't really copy-paste the previous settings, so everything that's right now in the game is being replaced with this new system, which should feel better. It should be a lot more consistent, and I think I talked about it a bit in the previous episode, but I'll cover it when it's necessary. So I think we'll start with the first melee attack, which is the kick. This one. It's playing a bit slower here, just so I can have the point of reference. You can see it's playing on like 50% its original speed, but it's just more comfortable for me to, stop the marker when I need to. Alright, so we'll head back to Unity. We'll go to Buck's scene. This is where I edit his everything, like I said in the previous episode. And we'll go immediately to the melee editor. Now, this is the attack we had from the previous episode, the uppercut. I'm just gonna leave it here. We'll see exactly how this new editor works and what are the new options that will actually allow me to create a more flexible combo tree and options and weapons. This is the system that's going to support the weapon customization to its fullest. It's going to allow us to use just more combinations, because the preset of the game was always, to have the base melee, and the combat should differ depending on which loadout you choose to take with you to the wasteland. And this system should allow us to do it much more easily. Just do a bit more zoom so it's a bit faster. And it'll give me the option to control some of the tools. And ooh, that's a bit fast. Yeah, that should be fine. Alright, let's hope nothing breaks. Let's start with another attack pool. Now, like I said with the previous video, I need to press this button to initiate, to tell the game that this is one of the basic ways to start a combo. So if I create a different tree, if I don't press this start button, it has to be connected to a different attack. You understand? So it has to be like second or third or fourth. It cannot be the first attack. So only the initiators, as I call them, are the ones that I use to start on the options. So when I do this, it means this is going to be an entirely different combo tree, but it can still work with the other attacks. So I'll show you now. Let's start with naming it. Call it Melee 1. I'm going to go a bit closer because the writing is very small. Alright. So the damage type is normal. The value, if I remember correctly, should be 25. The stamina cost should be about 15. You can change that whenever we want. Target count is 2. And now again with the settings. So we have the hit force. I want 500, which is 500 on the X plane, which means they'll move backwards by a margin of like 500. It's a numerical display that we have for numbers. I just know that 500 will take them back a bit, and in order to enhance the way that Buck that it feels when he attacks them, I'm going to move him as well. This is the velocity. So it's going to be like this. Hit for, and that's fine. Now for the velocity frame, this is where the Buck will start moving forward. So because this is it's a bit different from when he starts moving and when he connects the attack, so I'm going to start it from the beginning actually. I'm going to put it like right at the start. So it's going to stay, let's do it 0.1. So it's really like around here somewhere, maybe even less. I think we should do it 0.05. That should be fine. And now the hit frame. The hit frame itself is when the attack and the damage actually connects to the enemy. Should be here, when the leg is straightened. Which is 0.12. Oop, wrong place. 0.12. But it ends rather quickly because it's a quick attack. You see when it stops, it should be around here. So we'll do 0.2. Now, I'm going to choose the animation, melee kick, now the hitbox. These will change as I start adding more weapons and more options, but for now we're just going with the melee close collider. This is one of the major changes with this system because this is what allows us to guarantee a bigger field, a bigger collision area for damage, so you don't get those weird inconsistent results of Buck punching away and sometimes hitting enemies. It should solve this this issue. From our internal testing it seems to be, but remains to be seen. Nevertheless, even if it's something we'll need to work out eventually, it's still a lot quicker than what we had before. Just to work with the melee flow, I can create these things a lot faster. So it's worth it regardless. Alright, so now we're gonna go to the audio, combat sounds. I'll copy the directory. And this is the sound, I think I mentioned this in the previous video. That's the sound I wanted to make. Now I have separate sounds for the kicks, for punches, so I'm just gonna add. Now for any of you wondering where I got all these sounds from, because I have quite an extensive library of sounds, which hopefully some of you have noticed while playing the game. And I used to work as an editor, I still do. I used to really focus on editing clips or short films, student projects, and well, my voice is just cracking, I apologize. And also from my experience at Microsoft, I just had a lot of, I was lucky enough to get my hands on a lot of different libraries. I met a lot of other editor friends who got their own libraries. We share each other's libraries. I have a friend who does recordings, like actual recordings of things outside, like Foley sounds, so we share those and it's really, really fun to make. So I have a lot of sounds for Buck, which I made sure I had from the beginning. So the basic attack is just a melee hit. Now, in order to make this a bit quicker, maybe the math will change, but yeah, it should be fine. There we go. There's a bit of a bug sometimes where it actually pastes a written line instead of, copy pasting the attack. Alright, so now this attack is gonna lead to this one. Alright, this is the beginning of the way the tree branches out. So this is gonna be melee 2. The damage is normal. We're gonna keep the damage values the same here. What is gonna change though is the timing. So we go to the punch, which is this one. So we want again Buck to move a bit forward, and since he's starting right from the beginning, you can see actually where he starts to move. So we're gonna tell the velocity to start about here, which is the same. The hit frame, on the other hand, is this. So it's 1.15, and it ends right there, like a boom. Alright, so 2.026. Now I'm seeing there's a bit of inconsistency with the values. I see now that what I've written before, like where the attack should stop, 0.26. Alright. That should be fine. And the next frame, which is where the other attack can start, is right after the attack itself. So I'm going to keep it close. This is a punch, not a kick. So we're going to change the attack. We're going to change the sounds now because this is a punch. So we want to make sure that it sounds a bit lighter. So we go to the sounds, combat sounds. The reason I like to add more than one is because when you have multiple enemies being hit by the same attack, even if it's just 2 enemies, to lower the chance that you'll get the same sound playing twice in the exact same moment is really crucial, because, at least from my perspective, because it can really make some punches sound a lot louder than what they actually should be. So I'd rather have a much more rich variety of sounds to choose from. Alright, that's looking good. Next frame. Alright. Now, again, I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna paste it here again, as you can see. Oh, now I see the inconsistency. Yeah, when you copy paste, Amir, I'm gonna tell him that soon. When I copy paste an element, an attack, it actually loses some of the values. It just resets itself to the length of the attack instead of the length of the animation. If you can see here, the punch itself is shorter. See, 400 frames translates to, you know, 0.4 of a second, so it just ignored the previous values. I'm just gonna put these in real quick. 2.2. Yeah, we'll leave the next frame, that should be fine. Now, melee 3. 1, 2, 3. Just now thinking alongside with you guys if I want to do it vertically or horizontally. But the previous ones I did vertically, even though my screen would show me more information if I do it horizontally. I don't know. Alright, screw it. Target count is the same. Hit force, velocity, and the velocity frame. Alright, so now let's just change it to the third attack before I forget. Which is melee punch 2. Which is this one. We want Buck to move forward again, so we're gonna leave it in the same values, and the hit frame this time is bam. It's 2, 1, 3. Until it stops, which is here. 0.3. Next frame is 0.3 to 0.5. Yeah. Alright, that's looking good. Now again. It's going to lead us to the final attack, the kick, which has a different damage type, but it should not bother us. Let's see. Now this is how you decide which combos go where. So now I can decide that the 3 basic punches that require no directional feedback, I can now give you the option. I can either say, alright, you do 1, 2, 3, and then forward and again, which will give you the kick, or you can do down and get the uppercut. This is something I wasn't able to do in the previous editor, so now when you see that the third attack is connected to what's going to be the kick, I'm going to connect this also to the uppercut. And the kick, I think I'm just going to keep it as it is in the game now, which is just a decent amount of damage, and it does knockback. The knockback here, if I remember correctly, should be... interesting. Oh wait, target count change? Alright, target count here, I'm gonna raise it up to, I think 4, because when you kick enemies and some of them can really get, close in on you when you do the first 3 attacks. So while the first 3 attacks will hit 2 enemies, you want the last one to connect and, feel more rewarding, than the previous attack. So we're gonna if you can make it to the 4th attack, then it should be a bit more rewarding to do that. So let's see. Hit force is fine, but because it's a knockback, I think that this number should be fine. Now the velocity for Buck here with the last attack, let's see. Got kick. Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Now, as you can see, Buck is moving a bit forward in his animation, so I don't think I'm going to change the velocity values that much, because it can cause Buck to actually slide too much, but we're going to keep it roughly at the same point. Hit frame this time is this. So we're looking at 0.2. The last still here, which is 0.3. Let's do a 3, 5. And the next frame will be here, when he starts putting his leg back. Yeah. Now let's change the animation to the gut kick, and now I'm going to change the collider to be the melee fire collider, which is going to be usually associated with a Guzzler weapon, the heavy melee weapon. But for this kick, since Buck moves forward and his animation is pretty far off to the front, so I think what we're going to do is to try and use the larger collider just to make sure that all enemies are hit by the attack. Alright, this is the first test, so it will be interesting to see if it works. And yeah, let's give it a shot, I think. Oh yeah, just the kicks, of course. So change the sounds. Excuse me. Alright. So we have the combat sounds, now we add the kick. A bit repetitive, this game design thing, isn't it? Oh yeah, it is. It can be a pretty mundane job sometimes. But it's nice, it's nice. I'm not complaining. No, it seems to be about right. Alright, let's give it a shot. I'm gonna save. Before I take this into my test scene, let's test this here. See how it feels. Alright, uppercut still works. First melee works. Second melee works. Third melee works. Gee, we're on a roll. There we go. Whew. So, all 4 of them are working. Oh, that's nice to see. And now, did you see what I just did? 1, 2, 3, and I did the down input, and we get the uppercut at the end, which is part of the combo. Still feels a bit sticky. You can hear that I'm really pressing hard to try and get it right. But it's, yeah, feels not bad. I think I might actually make it a bit faster because, for me, I felt that some of Buck's previous moves, I just wanted the animations and stuff to be a bit faster, so instead of speeding up the animation, what I am going to do is to just move the, what do we call it? To move the next frame option a bit to lower, just to lower the timing, so your window of the input that you use when you spam the keys should be a bit, should feel a lot faster to use, and you don't even have to touch the animations. You know, some games sacrifice animations for, sorry, sacrifice the fluidity of the animation, of the combat, to make sure the animations are like running perfectly. There's a specific game that comes to mind, but I'm not gonna say their name. But basically, when you prioritize animation over gameplay mechanics, I think that you're, again, this is my opinion as a designer, I think you might be doing it a bit wrong, depending on, of course, if the point-and-click adventure game can be still relevant in some areas, but for me, I always prefer to give you the maximum amount of control, and I'll sacrifice any animation to make sure that happens. Let's see, next frame. Yeah, I forgot to adjust the where the damage actually stops, which is here, so it's 0.039. Excuse me. Yeah, that should feel a lot better now. Let's see. I'm just gonna take this to a test scene. And see how it plays out. I'm just gonna lower the volume just to make sure. Alright, let's see. By the way, I wrote this down in the box that you can see around me right now. But since a lot of musicians, I know this from other game developers, a lot of musicians really want to, you know, get their music out there. And it's not that this is kind of a freaking viral show or something, but I'm always looking to help other artists. So if any of you, you know, want me to use the songs in this or like any promotional video that we do, just, you know, any track in general that you wouldn't mind letting us use and share it out. And, you know, I'm a big fan of independent musicians, being one myself. So I would love to get your music out there and help in any way that I can. Ooh, that feels nice. Now you see what happens? Buck, in some areas, is moving beyond the character. See? Now this isn't good. Now there are two ways to solve this. One is to disable completely the velocity value that I used, that keeps Buck moving forward, or because I think that it does feel nice to use, the Buck is still sliding on the first attack, which is a bit odd. I think the first attack I'll remove the velocity because I think what it does right now, it takes into account your running speed. See, and the first attack, so Buck can move a bit more forward than I'd like. But in general, it feels good. Let's see if the cut. Nice. There we go. Costs a bit too much stamina, I think. Let's see. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Not bad. I've been recording for what? Less than half an hour and we already got the first combo going. That's pretty impressive. Way to go, Amir. This is all I made for Amir, by the way, just for the tools that this freaking genius makes me. I'm so incredibly lucky. Alright. So now, the only limitation right now is the animations and the weapons, because any animation that I use now, and I've been playing around with like a roundhouse kick, I'm not really happy with it. I'm not really happy with this animation. I think it looks a bit weird, so I'm still playing around with it, but I'm trying to add new combos into the mix, and I think that in the next episode, because this is already pretty lengthy, we're going to try and do something that isn't in the game yet, and that is combos that are working alongside weapons. So a punch can connect to firing your pistols up at a target. So yeah, it should be interesting to see how it works out. So I'll definitely keep you guys posted. Hopefully release more videos more frequently. And again, if you have any ideas of what you'd like to see, any other processes of the work I do, I promise you we're going to build levels together. It will be kind of interesting to see just, you know, new locations being added directly from Flash into the game itself. So that will be in a future episode very soon, hopefully. And yeah, that's it. Another voice crack just for the end of it, because why not? See ya.